Hey, good morning everyone. Varel here, Flow Roofing, and we're starting to wrap up our hotel project here. October, leaves are starting to come down, so kind of address a lot of the setup issues. Other roofers, feel free to hack me up on this, but a 12K Winco helps prevent the fluctuations in the voltage. I think it's the voltage, could be the amps. But in that regard, you want to use an extra thick cable for your 220 going out, so that way it's not like sucking power through a small straw. You want it to breathe properly. And the biggest issue is that if you're running hand welders and your dog, that you don't have that fluctuation, which can cause cold welds in the membrane detail. So that being said, I'll show you guys what we got going on up here. Basically, it's just a mechanically fastened layover, and the only reason you can do a layover is because it had a single layer before, and the system that we're putting up is a 60 mil Genflex Firestone system. And I only say Genflex Firestones because suppliers are saying, oh yeah, you know, they come out of the same factory. I'm telling the reps basically that hey, you know, make sure we're getting proper warranty here, because I ordered Genflex. That's what we're certified to do all of our warranty details with right here. But they had sent Firestone because they know that because they come out of the same factory, it really just doesn't matter that much. So what the crew's doing right now is stretching the membrane. You don't have to do that on a PVC system, but with TPO, you can see the wrinkles that are building up. So you got guys pulling the system and you got guys stretching it with the kicks. And you can tell a crew, at least the way I look for it, if their feet don't match on the kicks, then they don't give a shit. That's a workmanship issue, excuse my French. And then also, that means that you're technically not even affecting the wrinkles. So with that, you always want to stretch your membrane and then you tack it down on the edges here. So it looks like we're not going to have enough 10 foot here, or at least we're saving it maybe for the centerpiece. But once the membrane is properly stretched, then you go through and do your welds, and then you can do your finished penetration. So I'm going to help them make sure we get this parapet ripped up as well. And then this lower section here between the pool and the main building is tomorrow's project. So a little more penetration count, not nearly ideal with the EFIS interaction height. You were supposed to have about 8 inches of clearance on that, but with special relationships with the manufacturer, sometimes they'll give you an exception. I did a walkthrough with ownership this morning. We're telling him a lot of his drains were clogged as well, so having a plumber take care of those. We found out in a rain last week that those were holding water properly, not properly, and really just want to make sure that they're protected so we don't have to come back here. So we'll be sending the team out to Compton after this. We got target repair on one more building out here in Boise, and then we're going to go ahead and send a truck out to Spokane to do target repairs. And look how much patchwork on this here. I guarantee you, before they had locked windows, people were just throwing shit on this roof, and there's pokes and holes everywhere. There's not too much foot traffic from nearly enough RTUs, so I can't imagine that's what their issues were. But I mean, you can see screws down there as well, post-construction. One thing, I'm not trying to spy on anyone, but it blows me away. You can actually see the raw framing detail above the window from the original build out. If this was my hotel, I'd have been like, whoa, you didn't finish the project. But you know, I don't own hotels, so that being said, I mean, who am I to say? Just walking through here, you got your Varimat V2. Went a little overboard with the 700 series. It's not something that you have to do, but I just wanted to know that we were never going to have or be under capacity for it. But the V2 700 series is the one that connects to all the Wi-Fi, gives you all the data you need for all the test welds and such. And then you got your hand welders, matching leasters as well. It's just, they have the best elements. been around long enough so people trust their equipment. Spider box as well. The spider box is going to be your distribution for your electricity. You can basically take your generator power, do a couple hand welders. I think up to 3 is what we run. 12K is not big enough for 2 dogs, so we don't do 2 dogs. Obviously on a project this size, you don't need them. But yeah, we're going to get to the point where we're sealed up here on the fields, move into penetrations and sidewalls, and from there off to parapets here, and that'll be the majority of today. Wrap up the pool, and then we can go ahead. We got a drain up top there that we got to tie in. We're going to be doing some silicone up top that I'll take you guys up for one of these sunsets towards the end of the week where we got a lot of cloud cover. Have a little bit of heart-to-heart. Got some stuff I want to share with you guys, and then from there, we've wrapped up the east side is buttoned down, and the upper east, we got to move through to the drive-through and do the same perimeter weld as well. The fields are taken care of there, but we got to do the perimeter detail, and then there's a connecting section, and then a small 1 square piece. You know, we're shooting for a Wednesday completion. I think it's going to be Wednesday, Thursday, with final download come Friday, and with that, then we can give them the peace of mind, have everything be ready for manufacturer's inspections, and go from there. So 1 foot perimeter detail on all the fasteners spread throughout, also around all the penetrations. You'll see these be pretty commonplace details with a lot of the standard mechanical installs that you see. Nothing out of the ordinary here with this roof. We'll put breather vents in as well, it being a layover. Breather vents are going to help with the condensation, any sort of, if you're doing a fully adhered system, the off-gassing that can happen. But overall, I mean, this is about as standard as it gets. Now, what you can't see probably on the phone that is driving us crazy, I had to go get fucking 18 and 20 inch screws because the ISO taper. So you can see how big these screws are. Originally, ownership was nice enough to do a comparative a price comparison with an existing quote that they had, and I'd seen in their quote in the proposal, without doing my own core sample, which is a mistake. I saw they did their core sample and they showed 8 inches of ISO. So anyone who knows core samples knows that you want to do this yourself. You don't want to take anyone's word for it, right? And so I looked at the report and seen, oh, they only got 8 inches of ISO because that's the size of the tool that they used. 8 inches in a core is nothing when you have a taper that's almost 20 inches. It's going to be about 16, I think, at the top. And we're using 12s down here, but we're going to need 18 or 20s at the top section. And these screws are not cheap. They're like over $2 a pop. So you multiply that times, you know, a couple 100 feet worth of seams, plus your field perimeter detail on your decking. That adds up. So ownership kind of saw that, and I was more than happy to share what the reasoning was, but kind of discredits my own inspection, which is unfortunate because I told them I was going to be looking for all the details, and I'd based my core sample off of the pictures of their core sample, the competitor quotes. So never again, you know, you live and learn. But and I mean, the real reason is this adds up to an extra couple thousand in screws, which is completely avoidable. So some of the other details here, we got to redo some of these porches because the coating came out uneven. I'm not, for whatever reason, it makes it look like the workmanship is garbage. You can see some of the discoloration there, while one porch is even. This one here has got some blotches and splotches. I think this is probably the end of the run for us, working with the product. I don't know if I should even name them. I think it's probably a quality product, but no one was really transparent about the fact that it didn't stay pure white like it said on the label. And because of that, I feel slighted in the way that now I've got one of my top clients who's asking me questions that I don't have a proper explanation for. And so I don't ever want to feel or seem more dumb than I already know I am. So that being said, you can see I think George is using 18, so we'll go ask him real quick. Those 18s, George?
Yeah, these are 18s.
God damn. So you got to make sure your screws are biting. Ownership had a question around if the fastening of the membrane needed to be done with screws. So this is primed Densdeck, which means it's primed for adhesive. So if you want to go ahead and do a glue down, you can. And glue's got the benefit of better adhesion for higher wind protection. You might see a lot of mid and high rises actually do glue down systems. We see it spec'd out for certain government buildings, like we've seen on the coast for the U.S. Coast Guard as well. But for mechanically fastened systems, it's a classic install. Now, here's the other mistake of this project. You ready? Drum roll. We had a screw over the east side. There's no way we could have prevented it, but it hit a water line and we flooded 2 rooms. And that's the reality of construction that no one tells you to be ready for. And because of that, of course, they covered the bill for the client. I mean, look, it's on us. We hit the line. No one else can claim accountability. But the idea that we could have gone through and actually seen where these lines were by lifting up all the ceiling tiles or cutting holes in rooms is complete nonsense. And so that's just the chance that now in hindsight we had to take in order to complete this system, was to make sure that these screws are properly fastened. And because of that chance we took, we got to have the wrath of a flooded room, which fortunately we caught soon enough, but we still had to redo the ceilings of a couple rooms. And if at all times we can avoid insurance, we're going to make sure we do, because we don't want our client to have to go through the headaches, and I mean, we're going to take care of it, and I don't want the claim on my own policy. So I will be the first to admit that we're not perfect, and that was an unavoidable mistake. So this is our pull test here. Maybe we can go ahead and show you guys the result. Oh gosh, oh butter. So what you want in your pull test, we do these in the morning and the afternoon. Anytime you're going to fire up the welder, you want to do a pull test. So you can see nice even welding. More importantly, nice even tear off. So that means proper adhesion. So that way water can't get through. The TPO of each side is literally glued, melted, welded together. And that's how you get the 60 mil, 80 mil thickness, depending on the system. Don't ever use 45, in my opinion. To protect your assets from the top down is that little seam there. Literally thinner than a quarter, protecting hundreds of millions of dollars and billions in the world. Trillions of property values are separated from the little membrane, but it's how you assemble the system that makes the difference. So here I can show you guys a little hand welder action. So the hand welders, similar approach. It's not on right now. Similar approach to the dog, but I'm gonna have to figure out how to set this down, maybe on my knee. I don't know if I could do this without. So as you're getting your hand welder down, basically you're rolling the side, I'm not even holding it right, you're rolling the side in front of the welder at a rate where you go further back to make sure you get the 2 inches, right? So you start with your back end and then you do your closing seam. You wouldn't hopefully do this unless it's on the edge with the hand welder, but if you did do your finish detail, you do it by hand, because the dog is meant for large field seam, high efficiency approach. But I invested in all this equipment in 2024 because I was so sick of the subcontractor that I was working with. And I mean, they're quality guys. Like, there's certain times I'll ask them questions, we have a good relationship, but a subcontractor will never treat your client the way you want your client to be treated. And so I made the investment to develop an in-house team, and Carlos's cousins with Moses and Ariel, I picked up from another major competitor, came out of the box ready to go. And George is our commercial project manager, stepping up to make sure things are flowing properly. We actually got a little something coming up with Mr. George we're going to tell you guys about here in the future, but it's a different story for a different time. I'm probably going to get an OSHA fine here. People driving through taking a picture of this guy walking on the parapet, but it's not as sketchy as the one up top there, I'll tell you that. So I got to help the guys get ready. We're going to do the perimeter detail, so I'm going to make sure that we cut some of this membrane, slice and dice it so we can have about probably, we'll do a minimum 12 inches on the high side. We'll go down to 18 inches there all on the base. That's going to be 6 inches of overlap, perfectly fine for the covering of the plates, and then wrapping up the side walls as well. So you can see how slow the dog goes. It's only a couple feet per minute, whatever the rate is. I think he's got it on maybe 5 feet per minute. And it's got a set temperature for the TPO based on the conditions. Even the humidity plays a factor, and then the power as well. So it's not required to do this. And if you ask other roofers, like, why is Mosaic helping the dog? It's because we want to take an extra step to prevent wrinkles for the tightest possible roofs we can afford. So if it means that Mosaic is not hand welding details to make sure that we're as wrinkle free as we possibly can, then I would rather that be the case, where we don't have to come back or have explanations of why the membrane is wrinkly, when we could have just had a guy help make sure that things are properly stretched in the first place. So Ariel said, hey, I want to have Mosaic help me do with hand welds in the field. It's not necessarily required. I've seen it done without, but I've also seen wrinkles happen because of it. And I'm like, hey boys, please just give me the tightest fucking roof you can possibly give any client. And you can see nice seamless weld there. Same thing as the test weld, completely seaming up these two 6-foot rolls. So rolls come in 5, 6, 8, and 10. There's even some manufacturers that have 12s. The big rolls are best for membranes that we have a beautiful field with no penetrations, and then you move on to smaller ones. In this case here, we had to hand load all these other rolls because we only had 110 on the roof. 10 by 100 is 10 squares. This roof here, roughly 30 squares done. Smaller rolls also help you maneuver around some of the penetrations. So instead of you lifting a couple 100 pounds on the 10-footer, you can work some of these smaller rolls so it's easier to maneuver. But yeah, that's kind of the gist of it. Just kind of walking you through a day in the life. These commercial projects, people don't really show you the behind the scenes that much. It's not really sexy, it's not really complex, but it's how you build the entire system that's going to determine whether or not these systems are going to function properly. And so after we do our test probing, we make sure that all the penetrations are welded up and the T-patches are where they need to be on the cross seams. We do our own probing to make sure everything's locked and loaded, and then manufacturers will come out here and do that same approach every inch of they're supposed to do it every inch of the weld, so that way they can try to find any issues. And so far we haven't scored anything under the high 90s, which is we've had some dirty roofs get called out before, but anything like that can be cleaned and remedied relatively quickly. Remedy it pretty quickly. And so with that, we're after perfection, but it's always a constant pursuit. It's not the destination, it's the journey, right? So with that, I'm gonna go ahead and help them get these parapets flowing, throw on my work shirt, get sweaty, get down, and get these guys ready for some lunch so we can end the day smooth and flowing. There's a lot of other stuff we're going to cover. I'm going to get you guys up on the roof for a sunset cock. And with that, now everyone, you know what goes into a TPO flat roof. Same approach, same system for the most part, besides it being adhered on a residence or a mid-rise. You're making sure the water runs down to the drains, and you're welding up everything for specs so that way the wind protection and the warranty considerations are all buttoned up. So you can see suppliers will send us 2 different brands, and that just goes to show to me that they literally are the same product. When the manufacturers see an Elevate logo on a Genflex warranted system, it really doesn't fucking matter. So that's what pisses me off. It's just like, why don't you just certify me in this one? It's a weird club, small club in the commercial space. So Anyway, we'll keep you guys updated. Catch you on the next one. Ciao.